Yesterday was November 11th, 2013, formerly known as Remembrance Day here in Canada, where not everybody, where many people wear a plastic poppy to, I don't know why. I guess people wear it for different reasons. But the accepted reason for it is to honor those who died in wars for our so-called freedom. While I appreciate the sentiment of honoring those people that sacrificed, I think people need to be conscious of the fact that if we take World War II, for example, the bankers of the day, who are the ancestors of the bankers of today that are causing all the mayhem, they funded both sides of the war. So perhaps when you are thinking of honoring those who died, who gave their lives in sacrifice, maybe we should be thinking about how they were duped. Maybe that's what we should remember going forward. Because they died for a scam. Just like today. Take Al-Qaeda, for example. After 9/11, and incidentally, if you think of Remembrance Day, which is on the 11th day of the 11th month, where we gather at 11 a.m. for a moment of silence to honor those who died. Consider that the November in the Roman calendar was the 9th month. So you have 911, 911, 911. Now, that's just a bit of an aside. So Al-Qaeda, I want to say Al-CIA, look into that one, who's really behind Al-Qaeda. Well, after the Twin Towers came down and the Pentagon was hit, all of a sudden Al-Qaeda and World Trade Tower 7 came down. Look into that one if you don't know about it. All of a sudden Al-Qaeda was enemy number one. And now here you are in 2013, and when it comes to Syria, next thing you know, the US government is arming Al-Qaeda to fight against the so-called oppressors in Syria. Now, this all brings me to the International Peace Garden, where there are two 911 memorials. One is a book that is open right on the border between Canada and the United States in the Order of the Eastern Star Peace Chapel. Now, the Order of the Eastern Star is Freemasonry for women, basically. So it's a Masonic chapel. And the book contains all the names of the victims who died on September 11th, 2001. Now, the garden doesn't just have one 911 memorial, it also has a second one that contains actual girders from the wreckage of the Twin Towers. And if you go into Google Earth and measure the distance between the Peace Chapel and the girders, you come up with, I forget the actual number, it's something like 11,111 inches, or it's 1,111 feet. You can do it yourself. Perhaps I'll put it in the description if I remember to. And so here you have a garden of peace that has girders from the terrorist attack. I can't quite make the connection myself, but I suggest to you, when you put that poppy on, that you be aware of the actual politics that's going on behind the scenes that caused the deaths of all these people, the loss of all our freedom. You know, they're fighting for freedom, ironically, and what's happened since the towers came down? Just all our freedoms stripped away. This isn't news to, shouldn't be news to anybody, how it's being used to restrict our freedoms. So when we go out and we put on a poppy, this is what we're supporting. And it's, you just got to stand up and say it, you know, that you're not going to be duped anymore by it. The last thing I think I want to touch on is they always seem to contrast peace with war. It's war and peace. They give you this false duality, because the opposite of peace is action. It's not war. But we generally don't even think about that. As a matter of fact, if you think about peace itself, absolute peace is dead, cold void of interstellar space. It's close to absolute zero. It's devoid of anything except for particle-antiparticle pairs that come into existence and annihilate each other once they're there. Peace isn't what you want. Peace is a given. You look inside. If you look inside and ask the question, who's listening, and dismiss any answers that your mind gives you, and just really have the experience of who's listening, you see that peace is within you. It's within me. It's within all of us. It's the fabric of the universe is peace. It's everywhere. It's ubiquitous. It's all peace. But it's the fire that gets anything done. So you have to have the peace and fire, the middle path, within yourself, within your community, within the world. That's where all the magic happens. I mean, if you have absolute fire, I'm not sure what that looks like, maybe the Big Bang, but if you take our closest example of it, the sun, well, there's no life happening on the sun, I mean, that I'm aware of, but it's certainly not this carbon-based life that we experience here, not the magic that we are. So I just wanted to say that too. And when people try and say that war is the opposite of peace, it's not. Action is the opposite of peace. And you need to balance, or you don't need to, I need to balance the peace in my life and the action in my life. And look to the guidance that's inherent in you, and find that way. So I think that's all I wanted to say.